Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of HSP TV. I am your host, Barbara, and today I am joined by the lovely Pushtiie. And Pushtiie is India's first transformologist. So, more on that after I've introduced our topic, because today we would like to talk to you about how being sensitive affects us in everyday life and how that then penetrates into every aspect of our lives. So I personally think that this is going to be an amazing talk, and we hope to give you lots of value. And of course, we encourage you to ask your questions. We will answer them. So please leave comments. And of course, I'll also make sure that our contact information is included in the show notes so that if you want to contact either one of us, that is also possible. But first, Pushti, what is a transformologist? What is it that you do?
So, a transformologist is someone who works with women on a very deep, almost genetic level. We, as women, we all have certain things which pop up in our lives, saying, "I'm not lovable. I'm not worth it. I can't do this," or "I'm always too angry. I'm not a good mother. I'm not a good daughter. I can't earn money. I can't save money." All that. But all these belief systems basically are learned belief systems. And where they learned from, it's not just from this lifetime, it comes to us from many lifetimes ago.
Yes,
At
all
least
those the rules, the bullshit rules that have been handed down from generation to generation about the way things are supposed to be.
tell me about it. That's exactly what I'm saying. And what happens is that in transformology, it's called creatrix. In creatrix transformology, what we do is we take you on a journey, a beautiful imaginative journey, where we actually help you sort it out from the very beginning of your genetic line.
Mhm.
Right? So it actually can transform 14 generations forward and 14 generations later, because you've cleaned it out from there, so you don't have it, and 14 generations after, it doesn't need to come back. It's just that if someone tries really hard and says, "No, it's supposed to be there," they will bring it back, but otherwise it doesn't have to come back.
I
So
love
basically, yes, keep going, you were saying.
in a way that I'm also a transformologist because I do a lot of the same things, but just not specifically for women. I have to say that I'm mostly coaching and helping men or the women that are more in the yang side of their person.
Right,
Like I always was. I was a tomboy and always playing with male friends and
right.
climbing trees and building houses. So those are the people that I usually attract. But I see
Right.
it being very effective when it comes to taking control over your life in the now and being able to live it
Yes.
in the way that you want to live it, right?
Absolutely. And okay, so you can call me partial, or you can call me sexist, or whatever you want to call me. But I really believe that if we want the world to be a better place, we're going to have to start treating our women right. We're going to
Yes.
have to do that,
Because
because
a woman is a mother and often a daughter that then gives
yeah,
birth to more women or sons. That's often
exactly.
possible. But I think changing the world starts with yourself. And if you start with yourself as a mother,
Yeah,
or woman, then that is even more powerful because the truth is we are the only one of our human species capable of reproducing children. And it
absolutely.
already starts at a genetic level, like you're saying. I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of epigenetics. Uh,
Exactly, this is based in epigenetics. It is based in epigenetics, which says that yes, it's also your surrounding that affects you, but it also has roots from way before. And those roots can also be cleaned out with the way we think and the way we behave with ourselves. You know,
exactly.
and
Yes.
the fact is, if you keep thinking, I'm not lovable, someone who is absolutely and crazily in love with you comes to you and you're going to be like, "Listen, stop fooling with me. I don't believe you love me." No,
Yeah, and the
do
shitty
that.
thing is that we are often not even consciously thinking I'm not lovable, right? It can be that we even have convinced ourselves that we think we are okay or that we love ourselves in some way, but
Yeah,
it's on a deep subconscious level that
absolutely.
it's conviction that we're not lovable, and we might be unaware of that even, and it has a huge effect on how we live our life.
Actually, that brings us to our topic today, especially sensitive people, and not just women, like I said, people, men and women both. If you're very sensitive, if someone has randomly passed a comment on you when you were really young, let's say,
Mhm.
oh my God, it stayed with you,
Yes.
and you're so sensitive, you have been ruminating on it again and again and again, and it's not gone. It's constantly going to be there, and it's going to become the place where you come from,
Yeah.
right? And that affects everything about you, like every single thing about you.
I know my dad told me at a very young age already that I would never amount to anything, that my brother was a lot smarter, and that the only place for me was the red light district in Amsterdam. And for those of you who do not know what that is, that's the hooker department of Amsterdam. So
Yeah,
that was very denigrating, but also not very hope inspiring. And if that is being said to you often enough, then that has a huge effect on how you see yourself, how you treat
absolutely.
yourself, and how you experience life and how life treats you.
That's very interesting you should mention this. My brother, okay, he's 9 years older than I am, right? He constantly kept telling me, you will never win with your brother. You can't be better than your brother. You're always going to be under me. And so we're both actors, right? And the actors he looks up at, did a film with me and went and told him, my God, your sister's so amazing. You're never going to be able to reach her.
It might be tough to swallow for him, right?
Exactly. And for some time, he held it against me really tight. And I'm like, let it go. I am better than you, just take it. You should be proud of me. I'm your little sister. What's wrong with you? Let's celebrate the fact that someone said I'm better.
And let's face
It's
it,
just,
that's often the difference between men and women, right? From the rules from society, women
yeah.
are more flexible and more open to different input and maybe themselves. And in general, I'm not saying all men, but in general, the men have been raised to be the head of the family and be the one that's successful, that everybody looks up to, that has to have all the answers.
Mm.
That is exactly what I see most sensitive men struggling with the most.
Yes.
That the
Yes.
way society perceives men, and what's sort of expected and unsaid rules of how a man should be, and they're not that, and they don't want to be that. And that
Right.
causes identity issues also for men.
It's amazing how I have seen men who are sensitive. They make it very easy for the woman to become comfortable, right? And I have had other men tell them, "Oh my God, are you gay? What's wrong with you?"
Yes.
I'm like, "My God, he just was nice to me. You mind? Why does he become gay because he's nice to me?"
I always say it's a man that is very in touch with his feminine side. Those are
Yeah,
the men that say, "Oh, did you go to the hairdresser?"
exactly, exactly. What happened? You're not sitting well. Are you all right? It's the right man to say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Which
met a
is,
man like that yesterday even, and he told me that he always only had women friends because he just couldn't connect with men. And I see that with a lot of my clients too, that they feel more comfortable around women because women accept them in every aspect of who they are.
right. I understand that totally. And as sensitive people, uh, we become, in a way, we become an introvert because we don't want to kind of take the crap that other people are trying to give us. After you actually realize that, okay, I can't take this anymore, you get in that space. So sometimes that becomes lonely for
Yes.
us, right? And then we try to go to the other extreme, which has happened to me a lot, that I try and become an extrovert and I talk too much and I do everything too much. There was a phase in my life which was like that, and I was like, but this is, it just saps your energy to be like that. When what you really want to do is just go sit in a corner, let everybody do what they want to do. And then it's these extra sensitive people like us who kind of get onto drugs or get onto alcohol or whatever it is that they need to make ourselves numb
Yes.
so we
To
don't feel so much,
yes. And
which
that so
I
much is coming in and we don't have to process so much so that we get some peace and quiet.
absolutely. And I have gone to another level of wanting peace and quiet. So I have manifested something called multiple sclerosis. I don't know if you heard of it. It's called MS.
Yes.
Right. So I have manifested that, and the manifestation of it, very funnily enough, is the right side of my body for some time had gone numb, completely numb,
Mm.
and I couldn't really. I could feel it and everything, but it's like, it's like you have a covering, on top, but whatever's inside your covering is numb. Just the top is sensitive. So if I touch my skin, I can feel it, but I can feel that inside my skin, I can't feel anything. I don't know if that makes sense. But so, I manifested that and I'm like, whoa, because I did not see it as ailment, medical problem.
Mhm.
I said, no, I've done something that has caused me this. I've got to figure out what I've done. So I said, okay, I'm going to start meditating and talking to my body. And I had some really beautiful insights come from it,
Very
and
glad that you're saying
yeah,
that, because you can talk to your pain and you can talk to whatever is going on in your body. And it's
yep.
extra interesting because from my Chinese acupuncture perspective, we've
Hmm.
learned that the right side of the body is the feminine side.
Feminine side.
Yeah.
I always thought the left was the feminine, the right is the masculine.
No, it's the other way around.
Oh my God, that makes so much sense, Barbara. You have no idea. Always wanting to curb my femininity so that I don't have to be in competition with so many other people,
Hmm.
especially when you're an actress. You're always competing. Whether you're competing or not, the world outside is looking at you as, oh my God, she's better than this one. She looks better. Her hair is better. Her nails are better. Her smile is better. Her teeth are better. I'm like, dude, doesn't really matter. I am who I am.
Addictions are, I think, the number one problem in both acting and singing or every career where you're
Everything.
very much in the spotlight, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I guess that makes so much sense that I numbed out my feminine side and said, I don't care. And I've always been of that mind space of, it started with, I don't care what you're thinking. I know what I am. And then it was like, does it even bother me that they're thinking like that? And I
Mhm.
think that also, as a sensitive person, was a defense mechanism for me.
Yes, because a lot of highly sensitive people or sensitive people, they care too much about
Yep.
what other people think and what they say about you. And that can turn into people-pleasing behavior. It
Yes.
can also turn into imposter syndrome, where you're
Mm.
constantly trying to be someone that you're not. You're walking on eggshells in your
Yeah.
eyes, a lot of yourself.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just so difficult to actually even look at yourself and say, oh, this is what I am. Because you don't even know the slightest pinch of what you really are. Because you've loaded up so much on top of it to, like you said, people please or whatever. And you suddenly forget what your truth really is.
Yes.
And when that happens, when someone knocks on your door and says, hi, can I meet you? And oh my God, then the Niagara Falls will start coming out. Say, I don't know who I am.
Yes, I've had indeed, and that's a defense mechanism, right? Because
Yes.
then we're going to say to ourselves, I don't care what they say, I don't care what they think, but you
Yeah.
do. Underneath
Mm.
it, you care very much, but you don't want to
Yeah.
care. So that's your defense mechanism, but that causes internal stress, that causes
It does.
unrest, that drains your energy, often without you being aware of how much it actually
Yeah.
drains your energy. And
Yeah.
then when someone just looks at you kind or compassionately or says, are you okay? And oh, that would just break the dam, right? And everything would come
Absolutely.
rushing.
Is the waterworks. But you're so right. After that defense mechanism kicks in, you come to another flip side where you say, oh, I don't really care about it. And when I started doing that, when I went into that mode of I don't really care about it, uh, one of my teachers, who's known me forever, she just came up to me and she said, it's okay if you don't care. You don't have to tell them. Just let it be.
Yes.
But I just, when I heard that, something inside me just calmed down even further. And I realized that, yeah, I don't have to respond. I don't have to react at all to what is coming. If I don't care, there wouldn't really be a shift inside me that will cause an external response or validation or whatever it is. And
Exactly.
then I said, sorry, you were saying?
I said, exactly.
Yeah, and then I got into a space of saying, how can I increase this feeling of not needing this response trigger? And I started meditating, right? And it has changed everything for me. Today, I can walk into a really crowded place with a lot of other women who are so called my competitors, and I can have a broad smile on my face and not care about anything. And the fun is that people's attitude towards me has changed. They all come and tell me, what is it that you know that we don't know? How are you always smiling? When someone just told you, oh, she's looking better, she's wearing better clothes than you, her shoes are looking prettier. I'm like, yeah, because that's her, right? And this is me. I'm wearing what I'm wearing, and I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. I'm happy.
And
Does that
that's
matter?
a very important thing, but it's also very difficult for a
It
lot of
is.
people to get to that place. And I recognize what you're saying, because for the longest time I cared too much about what other
Mm,
people said and did.
yeah.
And I've now also come to a place where I think, fuck it, you know, this is me. And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't like it, well, okay, that's you.
Yeah,
And
exactly. That's you.
not let it personally bother you, but it took a lot of work. It took a lot
It
of
does.
self-healing and breaking through patterns, breaking through beliefs, and ancestral healing, and a lot of different things to get to this position. So if anybody is watching or listening to our talk so far, please keep on asking your questions. That's for one. But if you feel like that sounds like my dream, but I've never been able to reach it, or I have no clue in how to reach it, then you're not alone.
Yeah, you're
I
not
have a
alone.
clue. You probably didn't have a clue before, but we can help you in getting there, because there's freedom in not
Yes.
caring so much about what other people say and think. There's a lot of freedom in being convinced that who you are is perfect the way you are, and that you're absolutely lovable and wonderful, and that you have beautiful gifts and talents, and that you don't have to be anybody else in order to fit in, to be loved, to be wanted.
And just giving yourself the permission to be all of you, the sweet, the silly, the sensible, the intelligent, the manipulative, the sultry, the sexy, everything.
Yes.
Giving yourself the permission to accept the fact that, yeah, I can be a bitch if I want to. That's all right. You don't always have to be sweet,
No, I
right?
can be a major bitch at times when you've taken
Yeah.
it too far and you've crossed my line, and then you're also not being sensitive to it, or even worse, you're
Mm,
shifting the blame to me, and you're not taking responsibility for
yep.
the things you said and you did. Then I can just come at you very direct and tell you exactly how that's making me feel and what I think about it. And usually people
Absolutely.
then call me a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, so be it. I feel there's more power in being a bitch than being a silent spectator to your own life.
A silent
You,
victim of somebody
yeah.
else's abuse, because they are not doing the work. And then I think, well, maybe you think I am a bitch, and I can understand from your perspective. That's also
Mm,
one of our gifts, being able
yeah.
to put yourself in other people's shoes. So from her perspective, I totally get why she's saying that, or his. It could also be him.
Mm,
But that doesn't mean that it's true. It's your
yeah.
version of what you think is true, but it's
Exactly.
the truth, right? I don't think there
Absolutely.
is one truth. There's always, in the eye of the beholder, the truth.
Correct. I absolutely agree with that. And I I have this feeling always when I am being given a space like that, when I'm being judged or where I'm being blamed on, you know, I always tell people, okay, if that's how you feel, like you said, that's your story, that's not mine. I do understand where you come from, but I'm not going to make that the prime thought in my head. Oh my God, I know where they come from.
No,
Because nobody else is going to do that to you. And
exactly.
it's not going to be very beneficial for you to constantly think, oh, but I understand where they come from. Sure, you understand where they come from. Do you understand where you come from when you said what you said? I think
Exactly.
it's very important for us sensitive people to zero in within ourselves and say, okay, this is how I'm feeling. This is why I'm responding. This is the reaction I get.
Yes.
Because we have a natural response to many things that is not comfortable for other people. Because, like you said, we can be brutally honest because
Yes.
we see it,
Yes.
right?
We
Yeah,
see it,
and
we sense it, we feel it, everything. We have this sixth sense, this
yeah,
knowing without knowing. We know that we know, and we
yeah,
know, and it's right.
absolutely.
you just tapped into one of the pitfalls that I often see with sensitive people, that we feel we need to justify our actions, or that we held back because we understand where the other one is coming from, and then we are being considerate. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with being considerate, but
Absolutely.
it should not come at your expense. You should not be so considerate as to you internalizing everything, maybe developing an eating problem, a drinking problem, limiting belief problem, or a low self-esteem with yourself because you are afraid to speak up when
Right.
it involves your boundaries and who you are and what makes you feel comfortable or uncomfortable.
Oh my God, that is like a gold nugget, the word boundaries. It's so important, and for us sensitive people, it's very difficult to save our boundaries. We will, in a splash of inspiration, say, okay, I know where my boundaries are. I'm going to create that. I'm going to keep them. And the minute someone walks in, the door is open. Your
Yeah.
boundaries are suddenly crumbled and they don't exist. And when you go back home and you're like, oh my God, I completely dropped my boundary. I don't know how to do this. What is wrong with me? I should be better. I
We
always tell them,
are
like,
our
breathe.
own worst critic.
Absolutely. I'm like, breathe. Don't do this to yourself. It's okay. It's okay. Even someone who's maybe 80 and is very sensitive has days where their boundaries fall. It's all right. First of all, I keep telling people, stop blaming yourself. Stop showing yourself that you're a victim or you are the one who's always done wrong. It's very easy for us to get into that zone. I don't know if you resonate with that, but I've seen it for myself. It's very easy for me to say, oh my God, I must have fucked this up. I screwed up again.
Yes. I always say we are perfectionists, and then people say, "Oh, but my house is not perfect," and my house is not perfect either. So that's not where we are a perfectionist in, but our perfectionism, it's in how high we raise the bar, and then especially
Yeah.
for ourselves, and the high standards that we hold ourselves to. Sometimes also other people, but not the way we hold ourselves to really high standards. And the way I've learned to deal with this is I have these awesome conversations with myself, mostly in my head, because other people
Right.
will look at me like I'm crazy if I voice them out loud. But it goes something like, "Well, that wasn't completely handy, now was it?" No, that was not handy at all. So, are we going to do that next time? Probably not. And good idea. Okay. So then we're in agreement. Okay, awesome. So what have we learned today? How can we do it different next time? Well, we learned to never do this again. Agreed. Okay. So how could we do this next time in a different way? Well, we could try maybe doing this. I thought, oh, well, that's an interesting perspective. And that's the sort of conversation that I can have with myself. And I'm stopping it here because it can go on for a
Of
long
course.
time.
I am just looking at you like this because I'm like, oh my God. It's like watching me watch me. It's the
Right?
absolute, oh my God. I do this to myself as well. And I've come to a space where I'm like, uh-huh. Hmm. And it's only voices, it's only noises with me now because it'd be like, uh-huh. Really?
Yes.
Maybe. Are you sure? Not really. Fine, forget. No, no. So, yeah, right. Remember it. I will. Okay, then we're done. Yeah, good conversation. And with
I have
me,
the noises too, but in order for other people that are watching and listening to
yeah, yeah,
understand,
yeah.
I thought I'd elaborate a bit on this.
Absolutely.
But yes,
But
it
there's
is.
this joke that I use. It's not a joke, but it's a quick, smart line that I use. Because there are people, there are sometimes I don't remember to do it in my head. I say it out loud. Okay, that's just me. And I have people going, are you okay? What's wrong with you? So
Yes.
I tell people, listen, if you catch me talking to myself, please realize I'm having a board meeting. All of us are talking to us. We're
I'm
having a
having a
board meeting.
board.
Do not disturb us.
Brilliant. I'm having a board meeting. Yes, it's my
Yeah,
board of directors are having an argument. Oh,
exactly.
I love that. And that's one of our gifts, right? To use the
Absolutely.
humor. And we shouldn't be so strict on ourselves and hammer down and say, oh, you should have done this or you should have done that, and miserable. You just look at what did I do okay, and what can I learn from it, and how can I take this knowledge and this experience into the future and maybe do it different next time. And next time, maybe you come to the conclusion that this was also not the way to do it, but then you have the same sort of conversation, right? And at least you
Yeah.
did the same thing as the time before. You
Mm.
tried something new. Maybe it worked, maybe it didn't work. That's not really the point. The point is more that we treat ourselves with kindness. And for me, this is a big part of self-love.
Yeah, absolutely. Self-love, self-healing, whatever you want to call it, is very important. Not just to be kind to yourself, it's also important to be considerate to yourself.
Yes.
For me, kind and considerate are two very different concepts. Being kind is, yeah, being nice to yourself, but being considerate in the case of, yes, I understand where you come from, but this is where I come from as well. You know, and I have a feeling most of us who are so sensitive are usually talked over.
Yes.
You know,
But
the other person.
that it has multiple reasons. It's for one, that we don't take our space. We don't take the word, the room, the moment. We have the we tend to withdraw for various reasons, usually low self-esteem, or we've had experiences in the past, or whatever our reason is for not speaking up. But then we are overlooked. But it also has to do with your energy. So I often give my clients an exercise. It's a really simple exercise. I discovered it by accident, and then I started trying it out at the bakery, for instance. I have a bakery at the corner of the street.
Oh, yummy.
When I go in and I make my energy small, basically really doing this, and I'm withdrawing in myself, I'm making myself small for the people that only are listening. And what I see happening is that the lady behind the cash register will point at other people, oh, you're next, right? You're next, right? You're next, right? And they will overlook me. They will not see me. Even people who came in later than me are helped before me because my energy is so non-existent.
Right.
And then I tell them to consciously expand their energy. Just act like a balloon. I'm blowing myself up. I'm blowing my energy up. I'm making it bigger. I'm expanding. And then she would ask the guy in front of me, what can I get you? And all of a sudden he would turn around and say, I think she was first.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
And it's just energy, right? It's retracting my energy or expanding my energy. That already has a huge effect on if we are being overlooked or discarded when it comes to giving our opinion.
Yeah, and you know, like this that you did, the physical part of it, of course, plays a very, very huge part in actually working with our energy bodies. But with that, I like to add a little breath with whatever I do, you know, because for me, breath is a very important tool, you know, and it's the only one within you that you can actually
always have it with you.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, I always tell people this, that whenever you get into a situation that you're feeling, oh my God, either overlooked or just not considered, or even feeling just feeling like you're out of it, you know, you don't have to have a reason for it, just feel out of it sometimes. This is what you do. You breathe into 3 and you breathe out to 3. That's it. But when you breathe in, don't breathe all the way into your stomach. Okay, because your lungs is your breathing apparatus, right? So you breathe into your lung and you breathe out of your lungs. So it expands your chest, and automatically, if you realize an expanded chest automatically makes you straight.
Yes.
Yeah. So the breathing actually kind of, you know, makes you straight, and suddenly you're not crumpled up anymore, you know, and you're kind of like this, because you can't breathe like this.
No.
It's very difficult. You breathe, you automatically go.
What I also often do is imagine that I am being suspended by a string from here, the crown of my head, that I'm just hanging from a wire.
Right.
That also pulls me upright. It elongates my spine, and and another thing my mom always told me, especially we women, it's present the girls.
Yeah. I agree.
When you're watching, you know what the girls are. If you're not watching, then I hope you can imagine what the girls are. As women, we need to use what we've been given, and it's presenting the girls, because that also opens up the chest and shoulders back, and that expands your breathing room, but also your presence within a room and how people treat you.
You know, it's very well depicted in this show that I really like. Have you seen The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
Yes.
Yeah, so you know what she says, right? What her manager says to us, what she says to her. Okay, you're going to be fine, tits up. And I'm like, yes, that's what we do. You know, that's how, okay, that's not the language we use, but like you said, present the girls. Exactly, that's what we do. And the minute you're comfortable with that as a sensitive person, you know, forget anybody else, just as a sensitive person, oh my God, it changes everything.
Yes.
It changes everything. And suddenly, you know, the person opposite you not just looks at you and feels you, but suddenly has a connect with you. And it's not just like looking or acknowledging, it's just there's a moment and they just look. They're like, oh, because they hardly see a woman whose shoulders are back. Usually our shoulders all, you know, tucked in, shoulders back,
A
chest
lot
out.
of women are, what will be the right word? Ashamed of the girls.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But they've been trained. We as women have been trained to be ashamed, haven't we?
Yes, exactly. And also to
So
know our place. That's the society role. We come back to the rules again. Women
uh,
are supposed to know their place, especially in a lot of Eastern cultures.
yes.
Women are walking behind the man. They need to cover it up as much as possible. They have no say in things. And let's be honest, in the Western world, it also used to be that way. We've come far in that sense. But even then, still parts of that seep through in our day-to-day now society, where women still feel that it's not okay to show who they are, or that they even feel that when they present the girls that they are only a scene for the girls instead
Yep.
of smart, and then they dress down, either binding them up or stern business suits in order to just sort of compete with the boys.
Yeah, which is what, no, we're not, we become so trained to not show or express our feminine nature, you know. And I do know that there are men who are also sensitive individuals, and I know that completely because I've worked with them. I have a lot of students who are such. But still, I have noticed that women are way more sensitive. And I've understood that after I started studying creatrix more and more, because whether you like it or not, we are Mother Nature incarnate.
Yes.
We are a human incarnation of Mother Nature.
Yeah.
You know, everything she has, we have. It's all in here. You know, you may want to go to a mountain, or you may want to go to the sea, but we have all of that within us, and the way we behave, the qualities that we embody, it's all of that. And I feel as a sensitive being, one thing that nourishes, you know, that, I mean, if people want to, they can try this out. What's very important is go and spend time in nature, whatever calls to you. If you're a tree hugging person, make it a point to go hug a tree once a day. Really. And it's like almost a prescription, you know. If I was like a doctor to sensitive people, I would have said go hug a tree.
Yes.
Every twice, once in 2 months, go climb a mountain. Take a dip into the ocean, not just a river or a pond, in the ocean. Because it's very funny, but the salts in the ocean are very, very good for sensitive people.
Yes.
You
Correct.
know, like how we do bath, foot salts,
That's
you
why
know.
it's also so good for highly sensitive or sensitive people to have a Himalayan salt lamp in your living room, because it has the same ionizing salts that are being given off by the ocean. And me
Absolutely.
personally, I walk in nature 1.5 to 3 hours every day, and
Wow.
I plan that in. I make room for that, and it's been a life changer even for me. And sometimes people think, how can you spend so much time in nature? Well, I combine it with things, I love being in nature, but to get there, sometimes I need to go through a residential area for a while. So then I make a phone call while walking there and combine it. Um, and then depending on how I'm feeling, I do a multitude of things. Sometimes I'm listening to nothing because I really need the energy of the nature and to soak it up. Sometimes I do meditative walking. So you can also meditate while walking. Yes, you can. Sometimes I educate myself while walking, and it can be listening to a course, listening to an audio book. I love to listen to Abraham, channeled by Esther Hicks, while I'm it can be a multitude of things, or and I feel I need some healing. I love to listen to the solfeggio frequencies while I'm walking to balance out my energy again. But also not always the entire time that I'm out there. I can even switch it up while walking. So there are a lot of things that you can do and can combine in that time. But the end result is always that I feel awesome when I come back.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you're very lucky you can do that, no, walk in nature. I live in a very strongly building forest.
Oh,
I live
yes.
in a building forest. I have buildings all over me, all around me, all the time. And I'm like, can I please get out of here? But I try and do this. I go for a walk every time. There's a park next door. It's a small park. But I
Mhm.
go and walk in the park. And like you said, I end up listening to stuff like a podcast or whatever it is. And half the time, it's just stuck in my ears and there's nothing playing.
Mhm.
Like you said, you just need your own, energy
Noise
back.
cancellation, and then you're in your own world. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Also very interesting thing that I found is that when I do this walking, I start um, being an empath. I anyway sense people even more, right? And if someone crosses you or someone passes you by, you know what they're feeling, and you
Yes.
know that you know what they're feeling, and you're thinking, oh my god. But that moment is the moment of you using the human mechanism of the pause. If you have to physically stop, you do that, go to a side and stop. Or if you can use it while you're walking, which happens with practice,
Hmm.
you will pause, you will breathe it out,
Yeah.
and then you will go forward, but you will not carry that feeling with you. The
Exactly.
minute you carry that feeling with you, you're in trouble.
Yes, and that's what happens with a lot of unaware sensitive people.
Yes.
And so when we come back to the question that we started our talk with, how
Mm,
is being sensitive affecting us in our everyday? I think we gave a multitude on examples of
absolutely.
being
Yep.
sensitive affects us in a day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And by learning that we are sensitive, because I don't like boxes, I don't like labels,
Mm,
but for me, finding out that I am sensitive to these things and then learning how to work with that and how to let go more easily, because that's usually very difficult for people, or how to not even let so much in, that's the next step.
yeah.
Life has changed in ways I couldn't even think were possible before I started on this journey. So if you are in such a state where you're feeling overwhelmed by everything and everything's just painful or loud or hard or all of the above, and you feel like there's just no escape from it, and maybe you're even considering other opportunities of escaping that might not be that healthy for you,
Mm,
it doesn't have to be that way. I hope
mm.
we could have at least inspired you in a look in our lives and how it can be different. And I would also ask you to please reach out to us. I offer a free coffee chat. I know Pushtiie also offers a free call to people that are
Yeah,
in need of guidance or just connecting with people. So don't
absolutely.
hesitate to reach out. And I think we've also shown how much it penetrates into every aspect of our life, right? It's your work life,
Yeah,
your love life, it's your personal life, it's your dreamscape, even
absolutely.
with you in your dreams. So it's a 24-hour, 24/7 kind of thing when
Yep.
you're a highly sensitive person. And the sooner you learn what it means for you, and the sooner you learn how to work with it instead of fighting with it, what I see
Mm,
my clients doing when they're coming, they're
yeah.
more or less fighting with it. If they're aware of it or not, they're fighting with their true nature.
Mm,
And you learn everything about your true nature so that you can incorporate it, love it, accept it, and then start working with it. That's when life starts becoming fun.
absolutely. And I really like to offer you guys one very, I'm sure you've heard of it a million times, but just a very simple technique of offloading. Because whether you like it or not, at the end of the day, you have taken on a lot, right? So, of course, having a saltwater bath is beautiful. But I always offer this one thing where just take a moment, maybe light a candle, light incense if that's the kind of thing you like to do. But sit and write. Just journal how you felt. And you don't have to journal, okay, I went here and I did this and I met so and so. No, just journal how you felt. Journal what made your eyes sparkle. Journal what felt like, oh, I could do better. But most importantly, journal about what made you smile that day.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more you focus on that, the more opportunities for that to come back up all the time. And
That
make it a point to not, sorry, I'm saying?
I wanted to say it's very compatible with gratitude practice, right? Because
No,
the things that make you smile can also be the things that you're grateful for.
absolutely. Absolutely. But sometimes I don't use the word gratitude practice because people don't understand that everything can be gratitude, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so but like that's why I just say whatever made you smile or whatever made you feel like, oh, I could do better. I don't advise people to write stuff like, oh my God, I made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
But
No.
we've got enough of that going anyways. It's now time to look at your entire day with a different perspective. With a perspective, when you go back to reading it after, like, let's say a day or 2 days or maybe a year, you're like, that's how I used to behave. Oh, right. You know? And I was happy about that. Look at that. Now I'm still happy, but I'm happier about XYZ. So, it's just you taking the time to feel that gush of happy again and again, which I
Exactly.
believe is the most important thing in a sensitive person's life.
Exactly, because like attracts like. Yeah, that's the law of
Yes.
attraction, actually. And what that means is that the same type of energy attracts more of that same type of energy into your life.
Yep.
So if
Absolutely.
you look at it that way and you start writing all the shitty things of your day, you're basically inviting more of those things in your life,
Yeah.
more things that make you feel the exact same way. And when you become aware of that, you think, oh no, 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 that's not what I want. Yeah, but that is what's happening when you're writing about everything. So when you start writing about the things that make you smile, the main things that make you feel wanted or loved,
Hmm.
or even if you write about your cat because you love your cat deeply
Yeah.
and you just want to express that love, then that attracts energy of the equal vibration. So more things to love, more people to love, more
Absolutely.
situations to love, and I'm guessing if you're like us, then
Yeah.
that's what you want to invite into your life, right?
Yeah,
If it,
absolutely. I always tell people this also, that be very aware of the kind of stuff you invite in your life, even with what you're watching and what you're hearing. Like we have to choose very carefully the shows that we're watching, the films that we're watching, the songs that we're hearing, because again, even they are energy, right? All these things are energy. So when you watch something, you get involved whether you like it or not, or you wouldn't watch it, right? You get involved, and what happens? Oh my God, it becomes part of your reality,
that's
right?
exactly why I've stopped watching the news, reading the news, listening to the news.
The news and me have broken up, I
Yeah,
think about 15 years ago or more. I
exactly.
don't know. Which I said, listen, honey, it's not happening. Here are the divorce papers, it's all yours. Take it. I'm not doing this with you. Sorry. I can't. Not working for
Exactly,
me.
because we have no control over what we are being shown. And it does have a huge impact on us. And I often get the question, yeah, but I need to know what's going on in the world, right? Because I need to be able to have a conversation about it. My question is always why?
Exactly. Why? Why do you need to have a conversation about it? It's happening anyways. So
Yes,
let it.
you
If
cannot
it
change it.
really, if it really impacts you, you will get to know about it. Like for example, there are people who say, oh my God, you shouldn't waste food because children in some country are going hungry.
Hungry, yes.
I'm like, I understand that, but because of your thought of someone else going hungry, I am not going to overstuff myself and make me uncomfortable. That'll make two of us, me and that child who's going to go hungry.
And my mom and my dad used to say this to me a lot. And the result of that is that
Hmm.
I often do leftovers in the fridge because I feel it's wasteful and not good for the children to throw it away. And
Yeah.
then it goes bad in the fridge and I have to throw it away anyway.
Right. So it's this packaging of, we are telling you what is good for you. You know, I just want people to know this. Honestly speaking, you know what is good for you. You do
Exactly.
not always have to keep listening to someone else tell you what is good for you. You are the one living your life. You are the only one who's going to be able to judge your life, fix your life, fuck up your life, and get it back on track. So feel free to do all of that. Don't feel guilty about having done that. Enjoy the fact that you traveled the entire spectrum.
Exactly.
I think it's very important for people to realize that.
Yes. Oh, Pushti, I'm loving our conversation. I
Me
feel
too.
like we can go on for hours and hours,
Yes.
but that would be too long for the people that are watching and listening. But I can imagine that the people that are watching and listening also would very much like to know, where can they reach you? Where can they find you?
Absolutely. You can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/Pushtiie. Yes, Pushtiie. Yeah, and if the spelling is a little weird, it's Pushtie. So we'll write it down, right? So that,
We'll
and
make
I'm,
sure it's in the notes.
yep, and I'm on Instagram, and I'm trying to get on LinkedIn. Oh my God, it's a thing. Social media has only now entered my life with sensibility. Otherwise, I'm like, I have to post things. Oh my God, I have to have people check me out. I have to have, oh. And I'm like, if you feel like it, you do it. If you don't feel like it, don't do it. Relax. You
Exactly.
know?
That's one of the hardest lessons I've had to learn as an entrepreneur, because I thought I needed to post 5 times a day, every day, and be relevant and have
Yeah.
good content, and then also be consistent, right? Because everybody keeps saying consistency is key. And that
Yeah.
was so much pressure, especially when you're on Facebook and LinkedIn and Pinterest and Twitter,
Yeah.
and you name it, you're on it, and it's just, it becomes too much. So thank you so much for being here, Pushti. And like we already said, I have a free coffee chat. I'll make sure the link is in here. And you also have what you call it, a big call, right?
Yes, it's a blockage identifier call. Basically, it's where I just talk to you about what you would change in your life. Let's say 2 things you would change in your life that according to you would change your life completely,
I love it.
and we go from there and we figure out how we can change it.
Exactly. I love it. So I'll make sure that the link to book that call is also incorporated into the show notes. So if
Absolutely.
you were watching and listening and you made it until the end, then thank you so much for being here. I hope we presented value to you, that you loved our talk as much as I loved talking with Pushti, and that you learned things. And yeah, again, if you feel like you want to talk, if you feel you need help, reach out. If you just want to share what your thought, questions, remarks, stories, please feel free to share them in the comment section. And if you really want to help us out, it would be amazing if you could share this episode to your social network, because you never know who might need to hear what we talked about today.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Pushti, for being
Thank
here, for being
you.
my guest, and thank you for watching and for listening. And I look forward to my next guest in my next show, and I hope that it will be as inspiring as today's talk was. Thank you so much. Have an amazing day, and until next time.
Yep.